Hello, my name is Kathleen Flynn, and I'm with the law offices of Kathleen M. Flynn, LLC, and I'd like to tell you today how to obtain SSI child benefits for your child. There are three types of benefits. In addition to SSI, there's disabled adult child benefits and surviving child insurance benefits, which will be discussed on another video. There are 4 steps to your child getting SSI benefits. The first step is your child working. The second step is, does your child have a severe mental or physical impairment? Number 3, does your child have a mental or physical impairment that meets or equals a medical listing? And Social Security on their website has different categories of listings, for example, cardiac or psychiatric. And number 4, does your child functionally equal one of those listings, which would require 2 mark limitations or 1 extreme limitation in domains, which I will cover. Before we get into the 4 steps to obtain child SSI benefits, Social Security will examine your income and resources. So in a 1 or 2 parent household, Social Security will determine whether or not, based on the parent's income and the number of children in the household, if the child would be eligible for SSI, which is a welfare program. Other income that could be examined is money obtained for child support. If a parent's getting VA benefits, Social Security will examine a parent's resources before determining whether or not he or she can apply for SSI benefits for the child. Again, SSI is a welfare program, so I'm just giving you a few examples, but resources could include bank accounts, no more than $2,000 in a bank account for a parent. For 2 parents, no more than $3,000. The number of vehicles could be considered, retirement could be considered, stocks. So you have to get through the threshold financial requirements for SSI, and that's by looking at income and resources. And again, the number of children in the household will be considered, excluding the child at issue or any other children getting SSI. Now on to the 4-step process for obtaining SSI child benefits. The first step is your child working and making more than $1,260 a month before taxes. Since most children aren't working and earning that monthly amount, this initial requirement is met. Now we move on to the second step. Does your child have a severe mental or physical impairment that should last at least a year or result in death? Most of my clients meet that requirement, so now it's on to the 3rd step. Does your child's mental or physical condition meet or equal a listing on Social Security's website, which is categorized according to conditions? I mentioned cardiac before, neurological's another category. All the mental listings are under 1 psychiatric category. So if your child's mental or physical condition meets the requirements of one of these listings with signs and symptoms determined by your doctor or your mental health provider, then your child will be disabled at step 3. Your child's physical or mental condition could equal a medical listing if, for example, you have 2 or more other conditions with signs and symptoms that are close to a particular listing, but a doctor or a mental health provider would have to make the determination that a combination of your signs and symptoms are close enough to a medical listing on Social Security's website to equal it. As far as the 4th step for determining whether or not your child's disabled for SSI benefits, your child has to have 2 mark limitations or 1 extreme limitation in 1 of 6 domains. The first domain is acquiring and using information. And I'll just give you a couple examples. They'll look at your child's speech, whether or not your child has trouble reading and writing, your child's IQ score is. So the next domain is attending and completing tasks, and they'll basically look at your child's ability to concentrate. That could be at school, in the classroom, at home while doing homework, while participating in after-school activities, how the child's observed during testing, whether there's accommodations to help the child concentrate during testing. The third domain is interacting and relating to others. That's the child's ability to get along with teachers, students, parents, siblings, friends, in the workplace if the child's working. As far as the fourth domain, Social Security will look at your child's ability to move around and manipulate objects. And so if your child has ADHD and moves around hurriedly in the classroom, or your child has cerebral palsy and has trouble using his or her hands, or has difficulty ambulating, these are just some examples of moving and manipulating objects. The fifth category or domain is caring for oneself. So Social Security will look at your child's ability to be potty trained, for example, for a younger child, or an older child's ability to initiate hygiene care, brush teeth, take a shower, dress on his or her own. Your child's ability to do chores, or your child's ability to follow safety precautions such as not crossing the street until the light turns green. As far as the last category, which is a broad one, health and well-being, Social Security will look at whether or not your child's had multiple hospitalizations for asthma, for example, or other conditions, whether your child has a condition like Crohn's disease that flares up and then goes in remission, what the side effects from your child's medications are, or chemotherapy if the child has cancer. These are just some of the examples of health and well-being. It's kind of a catch-all category. So once again, with these 6 domains, your child has to have 2 mark limitations or 1 extreme limitation. And now I'm going to give you an idea of what a mark limitation is. A mark limitation is more than moderate and less than extreme according to Social Security's definition. It has to seriously interfere with your child's ability to independently initiate, sustain, or complete activities. Or it has to be the equivalent on standardized testing of scores that are at least 2 but less than 3 standard deviations below the norm. As far as an extreme limitation, it's when your child's condition interferes very seriously with his or her ability to independently initiate, sustain, or complete activities. And it's the equivalent of standardized testing scores at least 3 standard deviations below the norm. If your child's less than 3 years old, your child has to function at a level that is at least 1/2 of the child's chronological age. And that's when there's no standardized testing scores. So if your child has 2 mark limitations or 1 extreme, then your child's found disabled at step 4. I find that most cases at the hearing level, the Office of Hearings and Operations, are 1 at step 4, with your child having at least 2 mark limitations in one of the 6 domains I mentioned, or 1 extreme limitation. At the first 2 levels, the initial level or the reconsideration level, we see more cases for children, 1 on the child's mental or health condition or physical condition meeting or equaling a medical listing. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this video. I hope you learned something about how to obtain SSI child benefits. Please look for future videos to help you not only with the child SSI case, but if you know an adult who's trying to get SSI or SSDI, we will be sharing some information on how to do this and some tips, as well as common myths. Have a nice day.